Come in. Sorry, I wasn't expecting you so early. Yes, I'm just writing some notes. I am so excited to meet you. I am Professor Juniper, and I am an expert in the field of, well, Pokémon, but more specifically, our mythology. So, I heard from my assistant that you wanted to know more about our word and the myths of Sinnoh. I'll have you know that if you go to Canalave, it's a port city, well, I'm sure you've heard of it, there's a large library with all the myths of Sinnoh, but I suppose it was easier to come to me, so can I just have your name, please? Yes. That's right. Yes, I'm so excited. It's just that usually students are more interested in, training Pokemon, battling, and they don't really care about the making of our word, really. So, let's start. I have my notes right here because there are many details that I don't want to forget. So, let's start with the start when there was nothing at all. And suddenly there was something, and that something is Arceus, our god. Well, yes, he's the god of all things. He suddenly appeared, and we can't exactly understand why he suddenly appeared because it's simply beyond our understanding, because he comes from another dimension which is superior to ours. But there was nothing, and suddenly there was Arceus. He is 3 meters high, 3 meters high and 200 centimeters, and his weight is 320 kilos. I like to keep track of these things. It's for our Pokédex, which I am currently working on with other professors. So, Arceus suddenly appears in the middle of nowhere. Nothing exists. Actually, he created Sinnoh first. Sinnoh was the first word to be created. Before him, there was nothing. But Arceus, our god, is perfect. He's omniscient. He's absolutely perfect. He then decided to create 2 things that are absolutely necessary when when it comes to life. He created space and he created time. So the first Pokemon that was created for time is called Dialga, and then he created a Pokemon for space, which is Palkia. I call them Pokemon, but they're often known as Titans because they're absolutely gigantic. Alas, Arceus is perfect, but not his creatures. Therefore, from these 2 creations, another creation just appeared, another being just created itself. This being is called Giratina, and he's basically the Pokemon or the Titan of the antimatter. So, as I was saying, Arceus is far from making perfect things. He is himself perfect, but his creations can't be perfect, which is why Giratina appeared. So we have the Titan of Time, the Titan of Space, and the Titan of Antimatter. Arceus, angered by the nature of Giratina, which is evil, banishes him in the distortion word, which is why, Giratina has 2 forms, but we'll get to that later. So, now that Arceus has created 2 beings for matter, space, and time, he needs to create the psychic dimension, basically. So he creates 3 beings. The first one being Yuxi, the second one being Mesprit, and the third one being Azolf. So the first being, Yuxi, is basically the Pokemon of knowledge. The second being Mesprit is the Pokemon of emotion, and the last one, Azolf, is the Pokemon of willpower, basically. So then, after Arceus has created basically spirit, he is almost done. Now, all he has to do is basically create life. So he creates one Pokemon, Mew, the first Pokemon, a Pokemon which is designed to evolve and adapt and just, become multiple. So Mew is the first Pokemon, and well, he basically evolved in all the Pokemon we know today, which is actually interesting because the only Mew that is left, because there's only one left, is a Mew that wasn't able to adapt himself. He wasn't able to evolve, so he kept his original form. So that is it for the creation of our word. Now let me see what I have here. Oh, yes, I wrote some facts about the creation trio. So the creation trio will start with Dialga, the time Pokemon. He's genderless, of course. He's 5 meters and 400 centimeters high, and he weighs 630 kilos. He's type Iron and Dragon. Now, as you probably know, Dialga has a diamond on his torso, and as you know, diamonds are your best friend, but also diamonds are eternal. Well, they are linked to the meaning of eternity, and hence the iron type. And well, he's dragon type because dragons are linked to gods. Now, time is eternal, which is why we assume he has a diamond on his torso, and he has a special attack, Roar of Time, which messes with time basically. Now, Palkia, which is the Pokemon of space, has 2 types as well. He's also genderless. He's water and dragon type. He has 2 pearls on his shoulders. Now, you probably know that pearls can be associated to the notion of space because, well, we could think about the pearl as, the universe, which is expanding with each layer of nacre. And, well, the pearl is linked to water, which explains why his type is also water. His special attack is Spatial Rend, which tears space apart. So there we have our 2 Pokemon, which were supposed to just be them, but then Giratina appeared, and Giratina has 2 types as well. He's Dragon and Spectre. He has 2 forms. As I just said earlier, he was banished from our world into the distortion world. So his origin form is actually the form that he has in the distortion world. But when he comes into our dimension, he changes form because of gravity and stuff like that. So he has 2 forms. Now, the reason why he's considered to be a renegade is because, well, basically, what did I write down? Yeah, I wrote an outlaw Pokemon because he denies the power and the will of God, of Arceus. So he's a renegade, and he's a dragon because he's a god like the 2 other, because dragons are linked to gods, and he's of the Spectre type because, well, specters are associated to death, and he is sort of, the god of death. So there we go. One last thing, his form his origin form looks like a serpent, and as you know, serpents or snakes are associated with evil and temptation. So there we go. And another important fact is that dragon and specter are both weak to each other. Like both these types are weak to each other. Dragons are weak to specter, and specter are weak to dragons. Which makes sense because, as I said, Giratina is imperfect. He's not a creation of Arceus, and he was born because of Arceus's creations, but he's not Arceus, so he can't be perfect. He's imperfect. So yes, Giratina, well, we name him like that because, Girar comes from wonder, I think, in Italian, and platina means platinum. So yes, platinum, not platinum, platinum. Sorry. Now, this is why the galactic team has been wanting to, basically capture Dialga and Palkia because, they want to create a new dimension, a perfect dimension. In order to do so, they need the Titan of Time and the Titan of Space. So, now let's move on to the next matter. Now, in order to create a perfect universe, a perfect world, the galactic team needs to capture these two Pokemon, and to do so, they need to get the three Pokemon of Spirit. There's 3 Spirit Pokemon, or I think they're called the Lake Guardians. People call them like that, but really they are the Pokemon of Spirit, and by that I mean Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. So these 3 could actually control the Titans. I'm sure you know that they have these little red stones like rubies on their body, and if the galactic team can capture them and get those stones, they could make these chains, these red chains, and be able to capture the 2 Titans, because of course spirit is stronger than matter. And it makes sense because the 3 Lake Guardians were created after the 2 Titans, or the 3 Titans. Why? Because, the spirits need the matter to exist, so they couldn't have been invented before by Arceus. They couldn't have been created before time and space. But at the same time and space are controlled by the psychic aspect of things. This is when the psychic type was created, when these 3 guardians appeared. That is when the psychic type just appeared out of nowhere. Now, onto their stats, or their height and weight. These 3 Pokemon are 30 centimeters high, and they weigh 30 grams each, which means that they are like part of the smallest Pokemon of our world. They're really small, they're really light, they levitate, which makes sense because they're associated to, spirits. So yes, as you know, they are connected to knowledge, emotion, and willpower. They have a single type, the psychic type, of course, and their colors are actually the 3 primary colors of subtractive synthesis, which are yellow, magenta, and cyan, which also corresponds to the colors of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. And actually, if you put these 3 colors together, you get blue, red, and green, which correspond to, the colors of our world. Now, all these Pokemon, these 3 Pokemon, they don't have a special attack, but they all get a sacrifice attack when they reach level 76, which is quite logical because they talk to each other through telepathy, and they're really linked to each other. They represent brotherhood. So when one of them is in danger, the 2 the other two would suddenly, appear to his side and fight with him. So sacrifice is within their genes. Basically, they are meant to sacrifice each other to save humanity. So yes, they actually are quite dangerous despite their cute aspect and their, well, their cute their cute size. They are quite dangerous. You know that if Yuxi open his eyes and looks at you, you will lose all your memories. You will actually forget everything. He can erase your memories just by looking into your eyes. Next we have, well, Mesprit, which can actually devoid you of all emotion by just touching you. If you touch him, you won't have any emotion in your mind. You won't be able to feel anything. And then the third one, Azov, will be able to erase your willpower. So altogether, they can basically break someone's mind. They can make you crazy. So now let's move on to the galactic team, who, well, as you know, wants to capture and torture the 3 spirit Pokemon, the 3 lake guardians. They want to make a chain out of their ruby and then chain Dialga and Palkia. Hopefully that's not going to happen and they're not going to be able to destroy our entire world, because if they do so, if Dialga and Palkia get angry, well, time and space will be disrupted, which will wake Giratina up, and he will come to our world and basically just destroy us. I mean, he does not need Infinity Stone. He can just, doesn't need to snap his fingers. He can just kill us all. So let's hope that that's not gonna happen. As of now, the 3 Pokemon are sleeping in the 3 lakes of Sinnoh, which are Lake Acuity, Lake Verity, and Lake Valor. I'm not sure I said any of this right, but sorry. And of course, that's just a secret for you. There is a 4th lake, a secret lake in Sinnoh, which actually has is the secret location of a portal to another dimension, and this is a portal that Giratina uses to come into our world. How scary. So that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this little lesson. I would encourage you to come to my seminar, because I am talking a lot about these things, these facts about our history, about mythology, about basically everything that made our world what it is today. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope that I'll see you again very soon.